Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Olympic story. Yes, and as our story plods along, we are now going to be talking about the beautiful sport of tennis. And tennis, of course, when you talk about tennis, we've had some amazing standing in the world. We have done remarkably well in the 60s, the 70s, and then, of course, later on in the 90s. Now, of course, these exploits started with the great Mr. Ramanathan Krishnan, and then of course the mantle went to the Amritraj brothers, both Anand and Vijay, and then they passed the baton onto Paes and Bhupati. Now, but interestingly, what has been a little unfortunate has been the fact that we, as a nation, as a tennis playing nation, we started concentrating on the doubles, which then caused the fact that the singles, we never really produced any stars, or for that matter wins, which ensured that we slipped out of the world group, and we kind of ventured and we stayed in the Asia Oceania group for so many years. But then again, we've had some really bright young stars who've emerged and who are doing remarkably well. And one such star who's obviously going to shed light on this entire situation and what can we do, what should we do, and what are we doing that can make tennis again a shining diamond as far as India goes. So I'm of course talking about a man who has won a bronze medal in the men's doubles at the 2010 Asian Games. He became the national champion for the fourth time. He's singles national champion for the fourth time by winning the men's final at the Finesta Open Tennis Championship in 2016. He paired up with Sania Mirza for mixed doubles and won the silver medal at the Asian Games in 2010. I'm, of course, talking about the one, the only Vishnu Vardhan, also J. Vishnu Vardhan. I just had to do that. I mean, it is like very Bond. Yeah, Vishnu Vardhan. Welcome to the show.
That's a really dramatic introduction for me.
I'm so happy you deserve it. So I'm so honored to have you on the show, Vishnu. I hope you're doing well and your family and you are keeping well and you're safe.
Yes, we are. Thank you so much. Really happy to be here and have this conversation. And yeah, it's certainly not been easy last couple of years, but on the positive side, got really good time to spend home with family. I never really get this opportunity. So hoping that things get safe and I can get back onto the circuit.
Absolutely, and we are obviously really rooting for you to be back and really soon. So let's start off with like I was talking a little while back, Vishnu, that the glory days of tennis have been something which we've all enjoyed, especially when I was growing up. Watching a Leander Pace play or a Mahesh Bhupathi play, and they were concentrating a lot in probably the early part of their career in the singles, matches. But then, of course, they shifted gear. They decided that, all right, now they're going to concentrate more on the doubles. But, but having said that, I mean, that happened. And do you think that kind of has caused the fact that we've not been able to create, because everyone seems to then follow your heroes and say, Arey, they play doubles, why shouldn't we also start to follow that same route? And somewhere the single situation is getting sidelined, which is hurting us at the world group level.
So I mean, what you brought out a point. It's really true. I mean, coming from Ramanathan Krishnan days, to be very honest, there's been a decline in terms of performance since then. So Ramanathan sir was a legendary tennis player, and he rose. His highest ranking, it was not an open era, but his highest ranking was being world number 3 then, and Ramesh sir was quite ranked higher, and then the Amritraj brothers. But after that, yeah, of course, Leander Mahesh put tennis into the world map, being really good in doubles. But again, they were not as big as Ramesh sir or Ramanathan sir in singles. So we can see like a steady decline in terms of performance over the years. And also added to that, what I feel was that there was not like a proper structure or a system in place for tennis in India. It was dominated by Europe and US, and I always felt that we were about 10-15 years behind them in terms of the know-how or the facilities or the coaching standards specific to tennis. So we were always kind of playing catch up, and by the time we realized that okay, this is the things that we need to do, we felt that we were out of our prime in terms of singles, and the other option, because you could still play a little bit more longer in doubles. Then we moved on to doubles, and then when you have players doing really well in a particular category, you kind of have that belief that okay, Leander and Mahesh have done, Rohan is doing really well, so even I can do them, because that's how you see and you try to emulate them on the tennis court. So that's what has happened over the years, is what I feel.
So, given having said that, Vishnu, that has, so we've understood that okay, maybe this is where the chink in the armor is. What should we be doing to ensure that we start to kind of maybe fill in the gaps? We start to say that we have to restructure probably the entire system or whatever is the case. But where do you feel? I mean, you at the end of the day are somebody who is representing the country. You're a national champ. You carry a lot of weightage in terms of whatever you have to say and things like that. So, what do you feel as a player and also as part of the Indian contingent that what should we be tweaking that we get back?
I mean, tennis is being, as I said, tennis is dominated with Europe and US. I feel they are way ahead. But at least for the last 15 years, the progress that our Asian counterparts have made with regards to tennis, I think we should take a point or two from them. About 10 years, 12 years back, China, Japan, Korea, we were far ahead than them, let it be on Davis Cup or on the international circuit as well. But now you can see a lot of Japanese players doing really well. Same with Koreans, and of course, I mean, Chinese has always been a superpower when it comes to the sporting facilities or players. So I feel we should kind of take what they have done. They try to replicate what the Europeans or the Americans are doing, put in a really good system in place for tennis, and it's not too complicated. It's very simple. Make sure your facilities are really good in terms of the tennis courts and your gym room and fitness area. So the first thing would be the facility. Second thing would be to have really good training programs, and the third thing would be to have enough number of tournaments. These are the only three things that our Asian counterparts have done. At least for the last 5-6 years, I've been playing constantly on the Asian circuit. So I compete in a lot of tournaments in Korea, China, and Japan. These are the tournaments that I play, and they have about 12 to 15 tournaments on a yearly basis. And these are not Grand Slam events or the ATP Tour events, but these are the ATP Challenger events, which ensures a pathway into the Grand Slam and the Tour events. And in India, we probably have like 2 or 3 tournaments in the entire year, right? And again, the facilities that the China is coming up with, or even in Japan also, even though the space is really small for them, they make sure that they are able to provide really good facilities for the tennis players, and also the support in terms of for them to play tournaments. So they have done a really good job, and I feel in general we have not progressed the way that these people have progressed. Of course, in the last 10 years, the facilities have improved, the number of tournaments that they're organizing has improved, but we are still kind of catching up with our Asian counterparts.
Which actually is quite an interesting point. But having said that, Vishnu, I'm pretty sure the entire sporting federation as a whole has taken a very positive initiative. We have seen it in the last maybe 5 or 6 years. They are seeming to put a lot of onus on the idea of playing, on the idea of actually pumping in maybe more funds from an infrastructure point of view. So I just hope that, like what you just said, that post this Olympic performance, they will review this and take a lot of the points that you put across, because yes, it makes a lot of sense to take a leaf out of an Asian counterpart's book. Would be interesting, because if it's worked for them, why the hell can it not work for us? Because our talent definitely is not something which one is doubting here. So yes, a completely important point that you made. Now, if you were to just get into the Indian contingent, right? It's not something which has been the greatest of showings in the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. But if we were to talk about the women's first, because honestly, Vishnu, that match shocked me. I mean, they were leading 6-0, Second set again, they were leading. I mean, and then from there to suddenly lose your way the way they did. I mean, Sanya and Raina. So what happened? I mean, you've played with Sanya in the past. So how can things suddenly go so awry?
I mean, that's the beauty of tennis.
Yeah.
I'll that's the beauty of tennis. I mean, the sport, it's, you will never know what's going to happen, and this actually takes back to my day partnering Sanya. This was in 2010 at the Asian Games,
Right.
and honestly, I was a nobody at that time, and Sanya believed in me because we grew up together, being in the same city. So she knew that I had a really good game, but she wasn't. No one was sure. Neither even I wasn't sure that how I would perform at a big stage, and I was put to partnering Sania Mirza at the Asian Games, and we were actually down 2 match points in the first round, and we just came back to win that particular match and then made it to the final. So tennis is a game of a lot of uncertainties, and yeah, I mean, experience does play a crucial role in this, but I feel a lot of luck could have played a role, because I have been very closely associated with Ankita Raina also, and I've seen the amount of work that she's put in. And actually, Sanya and Ankita, they were actually in Hyderabad for about a week before they left to Tokyo from here. So I actually practiced with them, and they put in a lot of hours of practice. They were looking quite sharp, and it was just that one particular match to get that first win, which was very, very important. And they were cruising through. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to watch that match. I don't really know what happened, but again, with the new scoring system, and there is a very quick change in tempo that is happening nowadays. Earlier, it wasn't the same. If you are kind of having the momentum, then the switch doesn't happen that quick. But now with the new scoring system, where they reduce 1 point, and third set super tie break, the momentum or the tempo switch happens really quick, and I guess that's what happened in that particular match, and it was very unfortunate because it was very crucial for them to get that one win that would probably set the tone for the rest of the week.
Yeah, and like you said it, I think sometimes maybe just the stars just don't align the way you want them. Yeah, I completely agree. But I'm just hoping and praying that these guys are back, because I'm sure psychologically it kind of really hurts you as a player, especially when you've been doing so well and then from there to suddenly just lose something. I'm sure that they should be able to kind of get back onto the horse very soon. But I mean, of course, talking about Sumit Nagal, Vishnu, I would really like to understand from you that he becomes, of course, the first man in the past 25 years to do fabulously well at the Olympics. He has a 3-set marathon, and he gets into the second round, which is, we are all excited, we are all pumped. But of course, unfortunately, he goes up against Medvedev. So I'd like to understand from you that he's a man who broke into the limelight after his match with Federer. He's played very well against Medvedev. But I really want to ask you, where did he come from? What does the future look like for him? Because he is somebody who has really gone ahead and woken everyone up, and everyone is talking about, okay, who's this guy?
I mean, Sumit, I met Sumit for the first time when he was 13 years old. He was training in Delhi at that time, and I think I was there in Delhi for the men's nationals, and his coach, he was working with Aditya Sachdev at that time, and he got Sumit, and he's like, this kid is really talented. I want you to play with him. And the first time I hit with him, I still remember this because we didn't miss a ball for about 7-8 minutes, and that was the first ball I hit with him. And I told Addy that this kid, it's tennis. Yeah, everyone hits the ball great, but when I was hitting with him, I could feel that this kid decided that he's not going to miss a ball against me. And this is something really special. I think this kid is really special. I remember telling this to Addy because I feel when I'm on court, I'm very sensitive. I can kind of sense what my opponent is feeling. And this kid was, even though he's playing with a senior tennis player, I've already won nationals, I've played for India, but he was like, I'm not going to miss a ball against Vishnu. Wow. And this was his mindset. And even right now also, when you see him on the court, he's not 6 feet 4 inches. He's not a big guy, but the confidence that he carries on court, and the never die attitude that is on court, that's what is bringing him this far. And again, not many people know this story, that he was actually he's still mentored by Mahesh Bhupati, and he was actually founded through the Apollo Tyres program. And he was actually not selected for the program. So this was a program where a team of coaches that was curated by Mahesh would have clinics in different cities, and they would pick players to support and mentor. And he was not selected, and he actually walked up to Mahesh, and he was, I think, a 10-11-year-old kid. He walked up to Mahesh and he said, you should actually select me. I will be a really good tennis player. And he actually said this to Mahesh, and Mahesh, when they had like a list of points to check to select, and Mahesh is like, no, you don't qualify. And he's like, no, you should select me. And the only reason Mahesh selected him was because of his confidence.
Yes.
And I'm glad he did that, because Mahesh has been mentoring him since then. And today, he's at the global level doing incredible things for tennis in India. And I really wish and hope that he achieves more success. And this is just a glimpse of what his potential can do. And I would really bet my money that he could make a breakthrough, and hopefully the next Olympics he can do some wonders for us.
Fabulous. I mean, that's a fabulous story, Vishnu. I mean, the man just screams of confidence. And actually, yes, to be honest, one felt that also with his in his match with Medvedev. It was not that he was overawed. It was not that he was going to be cowered down, that he's playing the world number 2 and oh my God, what's going to happen. He was playing his game, and there was a flow that one could see with it. And I just hope that whatever you just said comes true, that he does fabulously well for the country, and not just at the Olympics. Even I'm hoping at the ATP tournaments, at the Grand Slams, hopefully. I mean, the way he's going, you never know. But I would like you to maybe shed some light on this aspect. There was a little glimmer of hope that happened, that maybe Sumit and Sania would be able to kind of team up in the mixed doubles, and we thought that maybe we still had a chance at the games. Not all was lost. That there was an entry maybe that they could have made, but that didn't come through. Could you kind of just explain what actually happened, or what was the issue there?
I mean, see, Sania and Sumit getting in, it would have just been a bonus. That shouldn't have been our plan A. The plan A would have been where we should have been ensuring that Sania and Rohan get into the Olympics. They just missed the medal, by a whisker at Rio, and the last 4 years, Sania has made sure that she's getting back onto the circuit after having a kid, and then training. And I still remember training with her post her delivery. You will not believe, she would not even move to a ball which is just beside her. And I was like, my God, because she had to go through this entire thing. But then the way she transformed herself, it took almost 2 years for her to make the transformation. And she was in maybe again the COVID was not an ideal situation for her to play a lot of tournaments. Maybe her match sharpness wasn't point on, but yes, she did everything possible, and very unfortunate that Rohan could not make it to the Olympics. It was any other year, I would have been very confident that Divij and Rohan would have made it to the Olympics. Once they would have made it, then for sure Sania and Rohan would have made it into the mixed doubles partnered up. So again, they kind of tweaked the rules this year. They got in some singles players entries into the doubles draw. If they would have followed the same rules like they did in Rio or like they did in London, for sure Rohan and Divij would have made it into the draw, and then for sure Sania and Rohan would have partnered into the mix. So trying for Sumit and Sania was, if it happened, it would have just been like a bonus entry for us, but that was not the plan A for us.
Fair enough. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. That probably could have been those rule changes that got tweaked, and maybe that's why we kind of could not make it into the mix. But I mean, talking a little more about Sania, Vishnu, I mean, you played with her. Now, of course, she's won 6 Grand Slams, and I mean, Sania is obviously a household name when one talks about tennis, and everyone is very proud of her and all of that. But I mean, moving forward, where do you see Sania now focusing her energies in terms of, also with this sort of a loss that she has encountered at Lille? What do you see going forward?
Sania has always been a fighter. I mean, she would never take no for an answer, and she's always known to achieve things when people say that you cannot do this. So her love for the sport and for the game, it's incredible. And I personally have learned so much. Even though we grew up together, we trained together, but she made leaps and bounds in her career. And me partnering with her at Asian Games was the first interaction for me with a player of that stature to understand how I should be dealing with the on-court pressure situations. So that is something that I learned it from her. And even now, I mean, for her to come back and train and play the circuit is really inspiring, because I also have a 3-year-old at home, and so inspiring to see her do that, and gives me confidence that I can still go and pursue my dreams. So yes, I mean, obviously Olympics was her main goal to make a comeback and play. So I'm pretty sure that she would want to try out playing the WTA circuit and focus a little bit more on doubles, maybe see if she can do something at mixed doubles, because I think she's an exceptional doubles and mixed doubles player. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. I hope she continues to do that and inspire all of us in that process.
Yeah, wish so. I really wish so, Vishnu. And I mean, it is truly a pleasure speaking with you, because I mean, the kind of insights you're giving, and obviously you've grown up with her, and I'm really hoping that she does wonderfully well. So also another thing, I mean, it was disappointing, the fact that since 1988. The men's double team could not even this time around qualify, or we didn't have that in the contingent. But do you think that had a lot to do maybe with the tournaments getting cancelled due to COVID? Do you think that could have been the reason?
It partly could have been a reason, partly also because of the entry system that they had changed this year. And of course, Divaj was not in his best of rankings this last 1 year. I mean, he's always been a top 50, top 60 player, and with that ranking for sure would have gotten in. But he too had a tough year. He didn't have a set partner on the ATP circuit, and yes, there was discussions between Rohan and Divaj that they would try and play together, but big tournaments, Rohan ensured that he would play with Dennis and at least move his rankings up. It was very difficult for Divaj to find a steady partner, and he could not move his rankings up to what he would normally be. He would normally be always in the range of 50s and 60s, and he moved down to, I think he was 73 or 74 for the Olympic cutoff. So that 10 spots did hurt us. And yeah, certainly, I mean, the pandemic did play a role in this particular aspect. And I feel that especially when it comes to games, Olympic Games or the Asian Games, we really need to pick and choose our battle, and especially the way we support our players. We've always been a really good nation producing world-class doubles players. Let it be Rohan, Divaj, and let it be myself and Sriram Balaji. I mean, we just focused playing doubles just for 2 years, and being players who were ranked 300, we moved to top 100 in just a span of 2 years. And doubles is a sport where you kind of need to invest a lot in terms of playing tournaments. So we literally traveled about 30 tournaments that particular year, whereas when I was playing singles, I would play only about 20-22 tournaments in that particular year. So I think we should kind of plan and not aim for having like just one team into the Olympics, where I feel it's very easy to have at least 2 teams into the Olympics with the kind of the potential we are having. Yes, I think we need to chart out a plan where we are supporting a singles player, but at the same time, I think it's a sure shot for us to have an Olympic medal in doubles if we can give 2 teams the opportunity. In India, I feel there is money for performance, but not for potential.
Beautifully
so these
said.
players are getting.
Yeah.
So these players are getting about, on an average, I think about $100,000 a year to play. And if they win the Asian Games gold medal, they just get about $50,000-$60,000 as a cash purse. But it's the other way around for us. We get very little support, but once you win the medal, you're showered with so much money. Suddenly, I'm like, from where did this budget come in, right? So it was, this budget was never there. Whenever we approached for a couple of lakhs, it was not there. Now, suddenly, a couple of crores, you guys are giving out.
Yeah, it is actually quite interesting, Vishnu, that you make that point, because let's face it, in a way, our legacy has been something which has been remarkable in the doubles in the double side of tennis. And you're right. Why not further that legacy? Why not start really stamping your authority as we move forward? So yes, that plus the fact that, like you're saying, maybe we should emulate what the other Asian counterparts are doing, which will have a great sort of an impetus which it will give to the single side of tennis as well. So yes, I think maybe a well-rounded sort of an approach moving into maybe the next 4 years, maybe the next Olympics down the line, we'll be doing remarkably well. I'm really hoping and praying for that. But before I let you go, I would really like, Vishnu, for you to give a message to the entire Olympic contingent at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. It would be very heartwarming, and I'm sure everyone will be very, very encouraged.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would like to thank each and every participant to inspire us participating in this particular event. Certainly, the last couple of years is not been easy for all the sportsmen, especially traveling around and with the COVID situation, with the quarantine. So to play this Olympics in this situation, it gives a lot of motivation to all of us, inspiring all of us to pursue our dreams and passions. Because I know so many tennis players who play the national circuit who are contemplating to continue the sport or not. But thanks to Olympics, they have ignited that particular passion back to us, and hopefully we continue this and achieve that particular kind of success.
Amazing. That was actually heartfelt. I felt that. That was heartfelt. A beautiful message, Vishnu. And I just want to say once again, it's been a true pleasure speaking with you, and all the positive energy, all the happiness to you and your family moving forward. And I'm sure that you're going to make a huge dent, because somewhere it seems that you kind of reignited that fire inside of you to do greater things. And of course, for you all who have been watching, please do continue to watch the Olympic story, because we bring on some amazing people onto the show. Yes, people who have blessed us with their performances, inspired us, and some of the greatest stories only come out of sport. You know why? Because it's powered by Sports Adda. So till we meet again, this is Sudhi signing off, and I just have to say this: game, set, and match is to you.